We're going to talk about Pornhub. Okay, we're going to talk about Pornhub in Texas. It has recently shut down. By the way, Texas, I want to make something very clear. Texas did not ban Pornhub. Pornhub decided on their own to shut down in Texas, and I'll tell you why as we watch the video. We're going to break this down step by step.
Largest adult entertainment websites has shut down services in largest adult entertainment websites has shut down services in Texas. Pornhub blocked access to its website after losing its lawsuit against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
A new state law requires online porn distributors to verify ages to make sure all users are over 18. Devon Roming is in the newsroom now with how both sides of the story are reacting.
Real quick. So Texas said, if you want to operate in our state, you need to make sure that people are over the age of 18. You need to have an age verification process. Pornhub said, sorry, that's not agreeable. We're gonna pack up. We're not gonna offer our service in Texas. So Texas, to be very clear, did not ban Pornhub. Texas just said, hey, if you're gonna operate in our state, you need to make sure people browsing your website are over the age of 18. And that was so unagreeable for Pornhub, they said, hey, we're just not gonna offer our service. They chose to leave. Okay, let's go.
Is this law already in effect, Devon?
Mia, that's a great question. This law was actually signed by Governor Greg Abbott last June and was set to take effect on September 1st, but a pending lawsuit held things up until now.
It's being called a victory by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton now that House Bill 1181 can partially take effect. This after major distributors of porn, including the Canadian porn giant Pornhub, sued the state over the bill for its age verification requirement.
There are less restrictive alternatives for accomplishing those ends.
The bill, as outlined, requires users in the state of Texas to provide a digital ID or comply with an age verification system that could include submitting a government-issued ID. The state says it's all in an effort to prevent minors from accessing pornography.
I'll say real quick, that's good. I think every single porn site should have this. Every single one of them. That's my opinion. We got to, and by the way, that's just the starting point. That's just the beginning. But first, let's make sure people under the age of 18 are not browsing these sites. Let's go.
It's unconstitutional.
Ronnie London is the general counsel for the Foundation of Individual Rights and Expression.
The constitutional law and the First Amendment law is clear on this, that when you're talking about regulating specific content, you have to use the least restrictive means, among other things, before your law can be constitutional.
Okay, so hold up real quick. So there was a case in 1968. It's called Ginsburg versus New York. And this is the case that Texas is citing in their requiring of a 18-plus ID verification with the Pornhub case. Okay, so let's talk about, because this is the precedent that's being cited, and this actually went to the Supreme Court in 1968. In Ginsburg versus New York, the Supreme Court upheld a, quote, harmful to minors or obscene as to minors law, affirming the illegality of giving persons under 17 of age access to expressions or depictions of nudity and sexual content for monetary consideration. Okay, so the case goes, this was I think he owned a convenience store in New York, and this guy was trying to sell pornographic magazines in 1968. Ginsburg was the guy trying to sell pornographic content to like a 16-year-old. Yeah. Here we go. Sam Ginsburg, who owned a convenience store in Long Island, New York, where he sold adult magazines and was accused of selling them to a 16-year-old boy on 2 occasions. And he said, hey, listen, it's my right to do so. What's the problem? Went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, hey, guess what, Ginsburg? You actually can't be doing that. Okay, and so this is the Supreme Court ruling precedent that Texas is invoking here in their coverage of this, okay?
On Thursday, Pornhub disabled access to its site across Texas, calling the bill ineffective and dangerous, stating it'll reduce a content creator's ability to share legal adult content and the artistic messages they want to convey.
Hold up, rewind. What's that?
Creators' ability to share legal adult content and the artistic messages they want to convey.
So real quick, requiring people to prove that they are over the age of 18 is going to decrease the degree to which Pornhub content creators can spread their, quote, artistic message. And by the way, that's an official announcement from this person. I looked into this, Alexandra Casey, who's now one of the chief executives working at Pornhub. She's the one that made that statement. It's an artistic expression, and we need to be able to push that in whatever state we want without any sort of age verification. Okay, just to get that on the record.
Hey,
This is artistic speech where you've got a willing speaker, a willing publisher, and a willing recipient. And when they're adults, free to make those decisions themselves, if you put undue roadblocks in their way, that's when you run into First Amendment problems.
Spreading my asshole on Pornhub is my artistic message.
There you go. Listen, here's the deal. Do you think making sure every single person visiting your pornographic website is over the age of 18, is that unreasonable, as he says? Is that an unreasonable or unnecessary roadblock? Just making sure, doing your due diligence, making sure people are over the age of 18? Yeah, I don't think so.
the AG's office released a statement saying, in part, in Texas, companies cannot get away with showing porn to children. If they don't want to comply, good riddance.
This is the Texas Attorney General Paxton, and I'm thinking based. He says in Texas, companies cannot get away with showing porn to children if they don't want to comply. Good riddance. We don't need you in our state. We've said you need to ensure through photo ID or online age verification that you're over the age of 18. If you don't want to do that, you can get the hell out of our state. Good for Texas.
Potentially keeping a
And also, by the way, Texas is not the only state that has done this. Utah, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Virginia, North Carolina. There's one more. What is that? I don't know. Is it Maryland? I'm not sure. Listen, 8 states have done this. And by the way, to be very clear, these states have not banned Pornhub. They've said, hey, if you want to operate in our state, and you can, that's fine. You just need to make sure that people in our state are making sure that they're over the age of 18. Okay? And Pornhub says, listen, we're not going to do that. So we're going to leave the state. Pornhub has decided to leave the state on their own. Okay? Because they say, listen, we are so... I'm going to push my propaganda here. Here at Pornhub, we are so determined to peddle pornographic content to people under the age of 18 that we'd rather just not be in the state. We'd rather just completely pull out of the state as a form of protest than make sure people visiting our site are over the age of 18. So we're going to leave. And they've done this 8 times. They seem to have a very strong vested interest in making sure that people under the age of 18 are browsing their content indiscriminately, given that they've refused now 8 times to follow any type of age verification. And by the way, if you look at the details, every single state has tried to get age verification in a different way. Okay? So it's not just one unanimous way. Every state is doing it differently, and every single time on 8 occasions, Pornhub has said, you know what, we'd rather not deal with it. If we can't peddle our pornographic content to children, then we don't want to do it, we're out. That seems kind of weird.
record of what pornography you're viewing and which sites you're going to. It's
I see the comment, stay safe is for big government. I am for government ensuring that kids are not watching porn. If you want to call that big government, you want to fucking strawman me, whatever you want to say. If government is stepping in to make sure that kids are not being able to browse pornographic content on the internet, guess what? I'm for it. You can try to spin that or frame that however you want. If that makes big government, then guess what? To that degree, I'm for big government. We got to shut it down. Get it out of here.
a tremendous invasion of privacy.
Now, it's important to note another part of the bill is still being blocked by a court that would have required porn websites to display a health warning on their landing page. Those opposing the bill say they won't be surprised if this ends up being submitted to the Supreme Court for review. Lynn?
All right, Devon, thanks for
It totally could. It could, and I'm sure it will stand. But time will tell. By the way, this has happened in 8 states. This seems to be a growing trend. I think maybe it first started with Utah, and it's state after state after state that generally more conservative right-leaning states are saying, hey, listen, we don't want kids browsing porn in our state to such a degree that we're going to make sure we have age verification. Yep. And you know what? Good for them. Now, my personal stance, hey, you want to call me authoritarian, you want to call me a proponent of big government, you call me whatever you want. I think porn should be illegal. All of it. Even if you're over the age of 18. But I'll take this as a good first step. This is a good first step. Okay, let's get the kids off of it first. But beyond that, hey, even for over 18, it's got to go. We got to get it out of here. Call me whatever name you want. That's how I feel. Call me insane, whatever. It's got to go. True and real. It's gone too far. Society is a little bit too downtrodden for porn addicts these days. Okay, and so this is the Pornhub executive that was that made the statement about the artistic component of the Pornhub content. And so that's that. 8 states and more to follow, I'm sure.